College classic. Do you want to hear a Whopper? Well, Larry D.Harper has something to say about theologians and scholars. And he's going to let you know through my mouth and my eyes and my reading. And don't hold this against me. I'm not against the Protestant church or the Catholic church. As a matter of fact, my children have done their communion. I'm very much for the Catholic church. I think somebody might get mad at me for that, but I'm not even against Mormons. I'm not against Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not against anyone. I believe that Christ Jesus is going to pluck up the churches and the congress of the churches. He's going to take them home. Not me. But let's do this, yeah? The origins of covenant theology. Covenant theology originated with John Calvin. You know, a lot of people might not know who Calvin is. It's Calvinism. Something that I've been wanting to study. I'm very interested in it. One of the leaders of the Protestant Reformation as a complete systematic theology, but as I have mentioned repeatedly, John Calvin and the other reformers believed that they were restoring essential truths that the Roman Catholic Church had lost. So in his battle against the obvious distortions of truth he found in the Roman Catholic Church, Calvin sought authority for his views by appealing to the writings of the 4th century theologian Augustine. For that reason, Calvin's covenant theology is often called Augustine or Augustinian theology. And we must admit that to the extent that it agrees with what Augustine wrote, covenant theology actually originated in the 4th century. However, Augustine agrees with the early church fathers on some points, since he could have obtained that part of his theology from them. We will have to consider the possibility that the essentials of covenant theology have been around since the 1st century. Which brings us to Luther. No, don't go there, please. A lot of people say Luther was right. Some people say he was wrong. A lot of people say he was great at what he did, but no matter what, it was still he was a subordinate and to the Pope, and so therefore he was out of line. He was out of base with what he was doing. But I'm not saying that something good didn't come out of it, or nothing could have come out of it that could have been good, but that the Lord will judge it on Judgment Day. How do I feel about Luther myself? Reading the book about Luther, I say he was a good man. His argument was with the Pope and a few others, but that's another story. Some people say they were both right. I'm a little daring, and you're going to get me with this one. It's insubordination. It was insubordination. And if he would have waited, he probably would have got the opportunity to correct that, like Pope Malachi and Pope John Paul. It's not hard to make corrections in apologetics in the Catholic Church if it's voted in to do so. It wouldn't be hard at all if there's something to apologize for. John Calvin, along with Hoderick Zwingli, established the Reformed Church in Switzerland. John Knox later made Calvin's Reformed Church theology the basis for Presbyterian Church doctrine as well. And through the Anglican Church, it even influenced Methodist congregational Puritan and Baptist theology. Consequently, Calvin's views on the 2 points of disagreement I mentioned above were handed down by evangelists like John Wesley, Jonathan Edwards, and Charles Finney, as well as by a whole host of Baptist, Presbyterian, and Reformed theologians who taught theology in various seminaries, both in the United States and in Europe, until the turn of the 20th century. Princeton Theological Seminary, among others, provided the essential safeguards necessary to preserve intact Calvin's theological system here in the United States. And since that time, however, other seminaries have had to take up the banner in order to prevent covenant theology from succumbing to liberalism. And that is why schools as divergent as Westminster Seminary in Philadelphia and Trinity Evangelical Divinity School in Deerfield, Illinois, still teach a theology that is based on Calvin's overall understanding of the biblical message. I apologize for that. I know that it's not my fault, but I still will apologize. So much for the rather straightforward history of covenant theology. Let's take a look at what John Calvin taught concerning the 2 essential points of disagreement I mentioned above. The method one should use in interpreting the scriptures, part 1, and part 2, the relationship of Israel to the church. This college class at Campus Hits, my sincere apologies.